Let's do it. Alrighty, here we go. My name is Marty Fox from WHITEFOX. Now, here's the deal. Well, what a yarn we've got in front of us today with the CEO of the local project, Aidan Anderson. I've been a huge fan for many, many years, and to have you sitting here and to unpack what it is that you've achieved, I think it's going to be really interesting for people. You've been very behind the scenes and still are quite behind the scenes. So it's going to be great to see what's brought you to this point in time professionally and personally.
Definitely. Thanks for having me, Marty. Very excited to be here and just looking forward to a good old chat.
Yeah. So the local project, I've been following it for years. So when did you start the local project?
So it's actually 9 years as of last week. And
Wow.
it's that old catch where it goes very quickly, but very slowly at the same time. But my story is that 9 years ago was actually when I sat down in my workshop when I was a furniture maker and created an Instagram page.
So you were a chippy or
a chippy and a joiner and doing all the odd jobs you can think about as well.
living where? Sydney?
In Sydney, yeah. I had a workshop in the industrial area of Sydney. So you can imagine, calloused hands, had the tool belt.
Show us the hands.
They're soft as they get now, mate. It's embarrassing. But yeah, that's where my journey started, is actually, hands-on on the tools.
Did you always have a great eye for design and those sorts of things? What?
Yeah, yes and no. Like, I think I always loved, the elements of handcrafted and how things came together. And as time went on, I definitely developed that over the years. But yeah, it kind of has been a natural progression where from what I thought was brilliant design has developed dramatically, especially in the first couple of years. But yeah, it really just started in that workshop there. And, it was purely by accident as well that it all started, where the intention and the purpose of that Instagram page was to put up photos of my work. And
What was the first post?
the first post was probably a terrible dining table that I made for, a client, a friend of a friend. And
Who were your clients at the time?
they were, I was smart with advertising, where back then I was on Facebook Marketplace and in different Facebook groups of the eastern suburbs of Sydney. I would pop messages up there saying, hey, I'm a joiner, a furniture maker. Does anyone need anything made? And got quite a few bites there. But, I was doing odd jobs, from doing fit outs of like Hermes stores and Louis Vuitton stores.
So
and
you had
whatnot.
some pretty great world-renowned clients.
Through other companies as well. So it was, I was a chippy working for other businesses, but the furniture making side of things was just through Facebook and friends of friends. But again, nothing special, very bare basic. And if you can scroll back far enough to see that very first post, which I do not recommend.
Well, it's great that you haven't deleted it.
Yeah, well, I've thought about it.
You can't.
But it's about, 3 hours of scrolling these days. So good luck to
I've
anyone who
always
finds it.
thought you need to be able to go back and scroll quick and choose years so that you can follow the journey of companies and people.
Yeah, agreed. It'd be a bit eye-opening, wouldn't it? Like, I think about the stuff we were posting 1 or 2 years in, and I'm sure you're the same with your business. It's like I almost cringe a little bit thinking about it, but that's the development of any business.
Well, I think the key word is just the maturity of it.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely.
So how old were you when you did that first post and created the local project?
21 years old. Yeah, so I was an absolute baby.
Wow.
Had the Hilux, had the Instagram page, had the tool belt, but I knew nothing about business and nothing about where it was going to go. But
And are you 30 yet, or are you turning 30 now?
I've just turned 31, so getting older and feeling it as well. But, it's been a wild 9 years, a real wild one. And like, I think the same with any business, like the learnings you have, let alone when you're a 21-year-old, but you learn the hard way a lot of times.
If I had have met you at 21 and said, sum up what you think the local project is versus if I was to meet you today and ask you, summarize the local project today, what are the answers to both of those questions?
I think at 21, my visualization for it was really just a small base community of designers, makers, architects, interior designers that were coming together and appreciating others' work in the local community. And, my vision for it then was I'd be happy to have 500 people in this group, and I'd be happy to have 10 likes per post. Whereas, you fast forward 9 years to where we are today, at its core, that is still what it is. And I think that's the beauty of why we've grown so quickly, is that we're a community. We're a community. But now we have over 4 million audience members, and we have an epic, group of architects, designers, creatives, and now design lovers who are engaged. And really it comes down to the beauty of digital, social media, and any type of coverage that we are so connected these days as a global, as a global community. And that's thanks to Instagram, and that's thanks to Facebook and TikTok. But that also means that design and architecture is now more appreciated than ever. Whereas 10 years ago, when I came into this industry, architecture and design was considered pretty elitist for the most part. Only the rich of the rich could afford it. But, I speak to, school kids in their year 10, year 11, year 12, university students all the time. The love and appreciation for design is at its all-time high. And I think that just comes back to why we're so connected as well.
Absolutely. And I love that you have created this community that people can be a part of from a spectator position and just love and appreciate what you're curating for your publication. But also over the years, being in real estate, we will meet a vendor and they'll say, oh, this was also in the local project in 2022. And it's like an accolade. If you can get your product, or if your home can be part of your community, it is something that is revered. And I think that is something to be unbelievably proud of, that you've created a platform that people aspire to want to actually be recognized in.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty cool feeling.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's,
Can you believe it? From building the, timber tables?
That's the reality. Like, absolutely not. I had no idea where it would be or where it's going either.
So if you were to look, say, 10 years ago, what would a publication of that decade be in the most comparable form to the local project today?
Well, 10 years ago, like, print was king. Like, digital media, social media was not a thing. And I remember creating this Instagram page and realizing that there wasn't any other publishers or larger ones anyway on this platform. And I looked around and I looked for the industry leaders at the time. And
who were they?
They were, your Houses magazines, your Architectural Digests, which were very heavily print even back then. There was not many Australian publications that had made the pivot to digital and social media.
And global status.
And even global as well. Like, I think the Architectural Digest of the world had just started dabbling in some video and a little bit of digital, but Instagram especially was considered, a platform for teenagers, similar to like how TikTok feels these days. But that's why I think you should never write platforms off like TikTok, because in 10 years' time, that's where, a lot of the 20, 30, 40-year-old decision makers will be spending quite a bit of time. So,
absolutely.
But yeah, back then there was no big publishers on Instagram or digital media.
And the biggest were all heavily in print.
That's right. Absolutely. And I think because they would been around for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, they had already set up this more corporate structure of making decisions when you're a business of that size and pivoting into something that's new and untested. It takes, months and years of approval to do that.
And particularly when they're working with brands that are paying for advertising space.
Exactly.
In a field that they knew back to front, which was print.
Yeah, exactly. And there's me with a 21-year-old with an Instagram page going, I have nothing to lose. I'm not even doing this to, get 1 million followers anyway. But I had the ability to be agile and start posting random things of other creators and other makers and, dabbling with video and putting it on YouTube. Whereas a lot of these other publishers, they were still heavily in print. It had been such a success for them for so many years. But it was, for the most part, a bit of a free rein in that digital space.
Talk to me about this 4 million follower base. Mm-hmm. What's the mix of those 4 million? You've got YouTube, you've got Instagram, you've got TikTok. Yeah. Where do you see your highest rate of engagement, and what is the split roughly?
Yeah, so we've got 1.6 million followers on Instagram. We've got 1.4 on YouTube. Our website does 300,000 uniques a month. We've got TikTok, which does a few 100,000 followers. And then we've got our print side of things as well, which is, we have a circulation of 200,000 per year across our 3 publications.
And what are those 3 publications?
So the 3 are the Local Project, which is high-end residential. It's 400 pages per issue. We release it 3 times a year. That's the best of the best, most beautiful homes and the profiles of people who have designed it as well.
Well, we've just bought a house.
Yep.
A new one.
Yes.
And the aim will be to get it into the Local Project.
Mate, you let me know when you're ready. I'm keen to see
no
it.
No favours. We've got to do a good job.
No. Yeah, I'm very keen to see how it comes together. But that's exactly it. It's the high-end, beautiful homes around, any suburb really in Australia and New Zealand and now the US as well. But that's the 400 pager. Then we've got a 200-page magazine called The Commercial Project, which is a bit more focused on multi-res, hospitality, health and wellness, and cafes
Love.
and whatnot, because there really isn't that great of an outlet for those type of projects.
What people don't realize is that cafes are the basis of so much inspiration for high-end resi.
Yes.
Because the cafes in smaller spaces will have new innovative ways to, build booths and kitchens, and they can go a little bit left of center.
Yep.
And if it works well, a lot of those principles are adopted into these high-end resi homes just on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
I do look at cafes for when we're doing our flips to see what ideas I can pinch.
Definitely. And especially in Melbourne as well. Like I even think the same when I'm down here, running around the town with all the restaurants, but you're spot on there.
And what's the third?
The third is the local marketplace, which if you think about another 200-page, a smaller magazine, but every single product that is featured in the local project, whether it's stone, appliances, furniture, lighting, we will have, I guess, an itinerary of the different products that are featured so that people can look at these homes in the main magazine and then they can flip to the local marketplace and see exactly what product is used in each of those homes, houses and projects.
See, I didn't even know that existed. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like so many people should be picking up that publication to find these people. I mean, it's sitting right there and there.
Yeah, it's a powerful resource. Like it's hard to find, platforms, whether you're renovating, building a home, but it's like if you have a magazine or a publication where it just lists everything. I know from feedback from our suppliers and partners who advertise in there, we had a flooring company who, got over $500,000 work purely just from someone picking up that book going, you know what, the next multi-res, I love this product here. I'm going to use that throughout every single apartment.
And so for these people to be in the magazine, how does that work? Is it obviously pay to play? There's obviously a lot of eyeballs, but then you need to curate the right people that you truly believe are going to deliver a great product to your customer base.
Yeah. At the end of the day, like we have the ultimate say on the homes and houses that go in there. Like we need to keep it to the top tier and importantly make sure it's genuine and authentic. So what we do and what we're great at is because we have a brilliant network of architects and designers is that we're constantly reaching out to them and saying, show us your latest homes, houses, projects. We're looking at those, but while we're looking at the iPhone shots, the plans, the drawings, the final photos, we're also looking at the spec sheet as well and understanding what products in there, what appliances are in there, what flooring company is in there, what stone is used. And once we have that list, we're able to then go and reach out to these particular brands and say, hey guys, we have this amazing, beautiful home and two-rack designed by an industry-leading architect. It just so happens to feature all of your appliances throughout this. Do you want to partner together to tell the story of this house and essentially say, here's a beautiful home designed by industry-leading architect. In order to achieve a beautiful home like this, you need product ABC. And again, like it's a genuine and authentic way to tell that story because we're not forcing the product in there. We're not forcing the architect or interior designer to say, oh, we had to use this because we got paid. It's a genuine specific specification and we're just telling that story naturally.
Well, I mean, the best form of selling is when you're not selling.
Yes.
You're pretty much just explaining how you're living with those things around you.
Exactly.
So it's really, I think it's really well received because people are aspiring to use these products and services and architects that are littered throughout your publication. So it's essentially the manual to create your dream.
Exactly. And you would know better than anyone. Like audiences are so smart these days as well.
You can't.
As soon as they get a whiff of something, that's 100%. In your face.
So you've gone global. You've gone into America. How did that come about? And what were the challenges with taking something born and bred here overseas?
Yeah. Well, for that decision, like we just followed the data with that one where, we've amassed this humongous audience over the last 9 years. And over the years, we would always look at, the demographics, where everyone's based. And for the first 6-7 years, it was predominantly Australia. It was 90% Australia. And that's how we built that community because it's a bunch of amazing Aussies who love design, love architecture, and they're probably building and renovating.
And you were already in New Zealand?
Already in New Zealand.
Because that's just, it's a natural progression. It just happens. It's like us. Exactly. New Zealand was easy.
Yeah. Yeah. But, there's phenomenal work coming out of NZ and
I reckon some of your best articles and posts are coming out of New Zealand because of the architecture.
Absolutely.
And the rugged terrain.
Yeah. I usually keep this off the record, but, we just did some math on New Zealand projects versus Aussie projects. And Kiwi projects perform 1.7 times better on our YouTube channel
Yeah,
than
wow.
Australian projects. And to your point, it comes exactly back to the beautiful landscapes, just where they're sitting, how they're designed. It is, it's mind blowing, some of the locations that we film at.
Favorite spot in New Zealand?
Oh, down south.
How good is it?
Yeah, you just honestly, you step off that plane and a breeze of fresh air hits you in the face, and it's
But the
just,
air is pure.
it
You
is.
feel healthier breathing New Zealand air.
Yeah, exactly. You get there quite a bit, don't you?
Heaps,
Yeah.
heaps. I mean, we just opened our 4th office there.
Mm,
So we're now Auckland, Christchurch, Wanaka, Queenstown.
nice.
Yeah.
What's next over there?
Probably
Is that-
Wellington.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, the
Welly.
capital.
Yeah, I've never been to Welly, but I've heard good things.
They say it's the most similar city to Melbourne.
Interesting.
I've only been twice.
Mhm.
I don't see why yet. I just need to spend a little bit more time there. I think Christchurch is quite similar to Melbourne.
Yeah.
Very flat city,
Mm,
rich in period architecture.
Yeah.
So America,
America.
that's where the data
Yeah.
was saying that you had eyeballs.
Yeah, especially when we started releasing a lot of video, which was coincidentally just around when COVID came through. Everyone was plonked on their couch looking for content to watch, and platforms like YouTube and even Instagram, they're very US dominant. So when we noticed we started growing rapidly on YouTube and Instagram, especially throughout COVID, our US audience went from 3% to 6% to 15%, now to 25%.
So a quarter of your eyeballs are coming out of the US.
That's right. Exactly right.
So then commercially, how do you make a decision to capitalize on that? What are the steps that you've then had to take? Not only just from a mindset, but then from an operational perspective back here in Australia.
Well, I think sometimes to my detriment, like I'm always led by generating and designing amazing content before the commercial strategy. So the first step for us was getting over there a couple of years ago and just understanding why the audience is growing so rapidly, what we can do over there from a content point of view. And what I actually realized is that
Why was it growing?
well, the reality is that when we actually went over there and sat down with American potential clients and architects, designers, I actually started realizing that they absolutely love Australian and New Zealand design. They're not watching it because, well, I guess they are watching it, but they are watching it because they see Australia and New Zealand as globally leading in design and architecture, and they're looking to us for inspiration. So,
And why do you think that is? Like, what's making our architects and designers leaders?
I actually think it's because when you think about the US and like I look at a lot of the homes there, the budgets are phenomenal, but there's that classic saying of wealth doesn't equal taste. And I think the reality is in the US for the most part is that when clients engage architects, designers to build these homes for 50 million, 100 million, even 3, 4, 5 million, there's a bit more power in the homeowner's court rather than the designer's court. But what I really understand and have noticed here in Australia and especially Melbourne is that we are a lot more trusting in our interior designers and architects, and we're letting them take the way rather than in the US where it's the homeowner goes, I want a big 5-story mansion in Malibu, and this is how you'll design it.
Yeah, they're demanding what they think they want when you don't know what you want if you don't have the skill to deliver what you want.
Exactly.
And because they've got such great wealth, they can throw their power around. Whereas here,
Yeah.
we don't have that depth of wealth. I mean, I see it all around the streets.
Yeah.
Beautiful little single-fronted homes that probably have architecture bills in excess of 100,000, but they know that because they don't have the space and because they don't have the depth of wealth, they need to get it right.
Exactly.
Because on smaller plots, the margin of error is so high that you have to get it right.
Exactly right.
You bang on.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. I never thought of it like that. It's genuinely because well, I actually never thought of it ever.
Yeah.
But we have to trust the professional here
Yes.
because they do have the know-how.
Exactly. And it definitely helps that, I mean, the depth of quality of designers, whether it's an emerging studio or an industry leader, like we have, layers upon layers of talent here.
So then do you have limited eyeballs in Europe because the Europeans have even less space,
Mm-hmm.
that they're very self-sufficient in their design, and we actually aspire
Yeah.
to them, because that's then the next level
That's right.
of where probably our designers are looking.
Yeah.
Is that probably what it
We're
is?
spot on. Like we've got a small slither of European, and especially in UK and London, but they definitely don't resonate as much as the US, which is fascinating in itself. But this is the beauty of data and analytics and Instagram and everything, is you get to see and understand your audience and what clicks with them and actually what resonates with them. And going over to the US was this sudden realization that, wow, this isn't necessarily about creating as much as content over there as possible, but it's about creating more here in Australia and New Zealand to feed the eyeballs there too. And that is our commercial strategy, is that they will look to us as, again, world leaders, and that's how we influence them from afar.
With going overseas, particularly Northern Hemisphere, something that we're wanting to do here at WhiteFox, and we're already starting the process. What are some of the things that you found to be difficult? And also, what have been some of the biggest wins that you've then been able to sort of bring back and adapt into your Australian and New Zealand arms?
I think one thing, and it's a positive thing about the US and in business sense anyway, is that they celebrate greatness and they celebrate wins
Hustle.
and they celebrate hustle. Absolutely. Whereas, there's a bit of tall poppy here, and especially in New Zealand, where
So even someone like yourself, you're not loud, you're not obnoxious, you're very well put together, you're polite, you've been raised well, and you're a good man. These are things that I know just from a few meetings.
Yeah.
But yet even you are saying that there's tall poppy.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And it's there. It's always been here.
Yeah.
And it's never going anywhere. No. And in New Zealand, it's even worse because it's even smaller.
That's right. Yeah.
When you're in America, do you feel like your creative juices flow even more so, and that your networking capabilities are even more free, and that you stand a little bit taller, even though you're already fucking huge?
Tall lad, but absolutely. And that's the beautiful thing.
Does it feel your cup getting up there?
It does, yeah. I mean, not that initially it was a little bit awkward just hearing and sitting down with, these guys and girls just talking about how good they think they are at something and all the wins that they've had. And once you realize that's actually a normal process and actually good for them, and it's healthy, you can really get into it. But, I think we should do that more here, where it's like, these beautiful homes and the success they have with business, they are proud to show it off.
And it's hard to get there. A lot of these homes that you're putting in the publication, these people, they're not all silver spooners. They've had to grind to get there. There's been heartache. There's been nights where they haven't seen their kids. There's been times when they haven't seen their partners because they're out trying to make it happen.
Yeah, exactly.
And the home is just a watermark of their success.
That's right. And like in New Zealand, for example, I would say 1 in 3 homes that we want to film, it usually comes down to the homeowner saying, sorry guys, this home, I don't want to let anyone in. I've designed it for myself and my family, and they don't want any external gratification. They purely want it for themselves. So it's this like beautiful, humble thing, which also probably ties into some sense of tall poppy as well. But
the Kiwis are very reserved in that respect, particularly down south.
Yes.
They really don't want to show what they have.
That's right.
And their wealth is severe.
That's right. It's through the roof.
Through the roof.
But
and
so
you would
humble.
never know. You'd never know.
Yeah.
So interesting. Talk to me about the next 12 months, because I would imagine that people would see homes in your publication, wealthy people, and they'd sit back and they'd say, I want that.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly your information would be, sorry, I'll say that again. Clearly you'd be getting inquiry back to the local project about some of these homes, because they're not for sale. They're just sitting there, but they'd be spiking a lot of people's interests.
Yeah.
Do you get that a lot?
A lot, yeah. We've released maybe 400 videos on beautiful homes in Australia and New Zealand in the last 5 years, and we've probably received close to 100,000 comments on those videos. I guarantee that at least 30,000 of them is, how much does this home cost, or is this for sale? Like the curiosity.
What do you do with that data?
We can't.
And do you then message the owner and say, hey?
Well, we just got to leave it, because it can be a bit of a taboo question, especially if it's a personal home that isn't for sale. But I think there is always this natural curiosity with homes and houses, especially on the higher end, is going, how the how much did that bloody thing cost, you know? And it's just a natural thing that you want to understand and know. But, you know, with
Has that been, because we were speaking before the podcast, does
mm,
that tie into what you're thinking
mhm,
might be a pivot with your brand? Or
definitely. Yeah. So I think like off the back of all of that and all the inquiries we've had from developers, real estate agents, literally over the last 9 years is for us now, a really big move into the real estate space is we're just about to release a new vertical of the local project called On the Market.
on the
On the
market?
Market, that's right. And it's
So that's the fourth pillar to your brand?
the fourth pillar. It'll be predominantly digitally based, but the best way to think of On the Market is that, you know, REA and Domain are brilliant at what they do, but they showcase homes from 100,000 to 100 million. For us, what we're about to release is not to compete with them, but a nice complementary addition to them where purely architecturally designed and interior designed homes or homes over the value of $5 million, we're going to create a custom curated boutique version of Domain where we can showcase to our audience any homes and houses that are on the market.
Incredible. And will those homes and houses be represented by an agent? And do those homes have to be part of your publication, or can they be homes that are of the ilk
Mm,
of the publication that
mm,
can also just be featured in that portal? Because a lot of people don't want to be on
mm.
realestate.com or Domain.
Yeah,
They don't want to be on the market, but they do.
that's right. Yeah.
Is that the sort of space for them?
Exactly. Yeah, it's going to be of the ilk, and I think to answer your question around who we're celebrating the agent, the developer, the homeowner.
So it's another community.
It's another community, absolutely. And you know, we're just, I guess, about to launch in literally a couple of weeks. So this is by far the scoop that you've got here. But
Well, you heard it here first on With the Fox.
exactly,
Love that. On the
debut
market with
on
the local project.
That's right. So
The best architectural homes
mhm,
across Australia and New Zealand.
yep, and eventually the US as well.
It's incredible.
So it's exciting.
It's
and
very exciting.
Yeah, I think there's huge opportunity there. And, you know, some of the homes you guys sell and quite a lot, you know, up in Sydney as well, we have filmed them, we have featured them before. So it's like this natural progression where a lot of homeowners engage us to film their homes because they know they're going to sell it in a few months as well. And it takes it back to your point where, you know, people are going as featured in the local project. It does increase the value of the property. It does increase the interest and it kind of verifies it a little bit further. So we want to capture that and we want to provide answers to the question of how much does this thing cost, but also, I guess, allow an opportunity to go to the auction or inquire more and
And when
understand.
someone asks the question, how much does this cost?
Mhm.
Will you answer that question, or will you essentially engage in the agent who's representing it to then fulfill that lead's request?
Yeah, that's, I guess, when we'll call the agent and say, hey, we've got this inquiry
Fantastic.
over to you. Yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
Let them do what they're the best at. Let you do what you're the best at, which is curating
Yep.
the best content for those architectural homes
Exactly. So
in a non-salesy way.
that's right. That's that. And again, it goes to, it needs to be genuine, authentic.
Will everything on that website
Mhm.
be filmed and curated by the local project?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. We'll absolutely have the production element in-house. I mean, there are great real estate agents out there who are capturing their content really well, but I think what we're able to do with us is give it a lens of a design lens with some of the architectural and
But
interior
you're a
design.
brand, the same way Louis is a brand,
Yes.
Gucci is a brand.
Yeah.
Everything has their own look and feel.
Yeah.
And as long as you're in control of that look and feel for your fourth pillar,
Yeah.
it will do extremely well. I can see
Mm.
that being almost like a first point of call
Yeah.
for somebody wanting to buy. Because on REA and Domain, you can't change your search field to just include architectural.
Yeah.
Because on platforms that large,
Mhm.
how do they determine what is and isn't? It's something that can't be automated.
That's right.
With yours, it is curated,
Yeah.
not automated.
Exactly.
That's why it will do well.
Yeah, curation is key. And like even to talk about our audience as well. So 90% of them own a home and just over 50% own two homes. So it's a very interesting audience and community where they're impulse buyers, they're interested in design, they're high income, high net worth. So I think there's great opportunity not only to, I guess, curate these homes and provide an opportunity for the real estate agent, but, you know, our audience is interconnected as well.
Will your audience be able to see these homes, or do they have to sign up? Is it pay to play? How does it work?
Yeah, no, it'll be across our Instagram. It'll be across our website. We'll have, like a new section in the sub menu where it'll be called On the Market, and we will just have all those beautiful listings of homes. You'll be able to click on that, and the biggest thing for us is to push it back to the agent and say, "Hey guys, if you're interested in this home or you want to find out more, we're essentially just the middleman going straight to you guys."
And if that home goes onto the open market on your realestate.coms and domains, will it still remain on your platform?
Definitely,
It can be across all three.
Yeah, it's in tandem, and I think there's no doubt that they have a huge volume as well on their channels. But again, ours is a more, although 4 million's a lot, it's a very condensed and important and specific community as well.
Well, sometimes when you're time poor and you own multiple properties and you are probably running a company and you find time to look at the local project, you don't want to have to scroll through 50 listings to find the one that you want. Whereas they might see a handful on yours and be quite interested in multiple properties that they're seeing.
That's right. What do you think I should look out for, though? I'm just getting feedback on it. We're obviously about to release it. Do you think there's any kind of red flags or anything?
I think there's always going to be red flags, particularly when you're dealing with real estate agents across multiple cities, countries, and vendors. Vendors are, vendors keep these businesses alive, people that want to sell their homes. So just making sure that your vendors are seeing value through the platform, that the inquiries are high quality, and that those inquiries are being serviced. You've just got multiple communication lines that need to be run whilst you're curating the content beautifully. It's then about making sure that the communication off the back of the curation is to the same standard. Definitely. So being very, very mindful of the agents that are part of it, making sure that not only are the homes screened, but the representations screened as well.
Definitely.
I think it's just making sure that all, I's are dotted and T's are crossed. Definitely. That's it, which you'll do.
Yeah. Curation is key. You're spot on.
Yeah. But real estate is a very difficult business in the fact that there's a lot of unknowns, there's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot of legals to it. So I think your licensing, just by having properties on there, needs to be well ticked off.
Definitely.
And just be across the legals.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very exciting though. I think, seeing and being part of a business and an industry where there is a duopoly on these websites, having somebody that's come in at low volume, high quality is going to be really interesting. And the fact that it's not just like the existing pillars where it's just for looks. Someone can actually act on some of these homes. And I think once there's been, 10, 15, 20, 50 sales, that's going to be a real moment to celebrate for you because you've really helped somebody genuinely find their dream home through that platform. I think it's really exciting.
No, we're pumped. I think it's going to be a bit of a game changer for us. And again, to bring it back to those 50,000 comments, it'll be nice to actually answer that as well. And I mean, the audiences crave knowledge and they want to understand the price. So it's And
I think that's the beautiful thing about being a business owner and being an entrepreneur and understanding that when there's opportunity, you need to jump on it. That is leakage. Those 30,000 comments were possible opportunities that now, how long have you sat on this thought for?
Well, you know how it is. You have it at the back of your mind for 6-7 years, but we really started thinking about it probably about a year ago properly. Yeah.
And I think that's the key thing. As someone might say to you at 21, where do you see the business going? You don't know because you need to analyze the way that it's working. Now, 9 years in, you've added these other 3 pillars, the different platforms. This fourth one could change the next 10, and it will change the next 10 because more opportunities from that sector will then pop up and you'll capitalize on those. It's I always say in the office, it's following the pigskin.
Yes.
You're following the ball, you're on the ball.
Yeah.
And you try not let anything slip. Yeah. It's worth a lot of your time and investment.
Definitely.
Because I think it will change the game for you.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for me as a business owner is, ideas like this that myself and the team have, we know we're onto a real winner. And like we've spent the last year putting it together and asking for feedback and understanding how it will all work. But while we're doing that, another 2 or 3 great ideas will pop up in a similar vein as well. And then, the question then becomes how much is too much as well. Even if you're onto a winner, and obviously we've gone ahead with this and said, absolutely, this is the one. But I've still got, 4, 5, 6 or 7 up my sleeve that the team have suggested that we've put together. The big question then becomes, how many of the ideas do you launch before you start watering down your business and product as well?
Well, at scale, how many people are in the business now?
Just under 70. So
under 70.
Yeah.
And in terms of your HQ, in terms of operations and so forth, how many there?
So there's 55 in the office, and then 15, I'd probably say actually 10 working remotely and around Australia and now in North America. But in the office, we have at least 55.
So it's just going to be a question of scale and management roles, because there's one of you, the visionary. It's about how about the execution of these ideas. That's all it comes down to, because there's a lot of great ideas. It's just how you execute them and getting them to the point where they keep evolving.
That's right.
Your travel plans, where are you this year?
I'm off on a plane to Milan in a week and a half, actually.
And what's that for?
That's for Milan Design Week, which I've been to Milan, but never Milan Design Week, and I've heard it is absolute mayhem. So it should be good fun. Mayhem in a good way anyway.
Who are you traveling with?
There's 5 of us from the team, couple of producers.
So it's a work trip.
It's a work trip.
Are you going to vlog it?
I probably should.
You should. Even if there's no talking, get the visuals.
It's a good idea. Well, what we're producing there is a new series called Salone, or Milan Design Week Through a Designer's Eye. And we've picked a local Milanese architect, a Kiwi architect, an Australian interior designer, and an Australian stylist. We'll film with them each for a day, running through Milan, going to the fair, going out for dinner, having a few cocktails, and just showing our audience what it's like to be them in Milan. So it's just a bit of fun.
Mate, it would be so good.
Yeah.
And then when are you back to America?
Back to America in June. So I've got a few weeks there. I'm there from, I think, the 13th, popping into Canada, and then down in New York for 2 weeks from, I think, around the 17th, 18th, give or take.
Okay, so we're in New York, June the 9th.
Lovely.
Till June the 18th.
We might have one day crossover.
There could be a day.
Lovely.
But what a way to end the trip.
That'd be lovely. Yeah.
And what a way to end the pod.
Exactly.
Mate, I'll see you in New York.
Perfect.
On the 17th or 18th.
Done deal.
Love it. Thank you so much for coming in. Cannot wait to see the launch of pillar number 4. Again, maybe just to the team, tell us one more quick wrap about this last pillar that you're introducing into the brand.
I think, look, it's just a very exciting opportunity. I think another key to it will be the print element as well, and adding that, I guess, that element of prestige that comes with our brand as a whole.
Well, your print collateral's stunning.
Yes. Yeah, we love it. And print is not dead in our world anyway.
Print is not dead in the high end of town.
Yes, exactly. The amount of architects and designers that say people come in to commission them with a TLP magazine saying, I want this, is through the roof. And there is still this appreciation of something that sits on your coffee table for 3-4 years and disconnects you from the digital world as well. So as with any print that we do, we want to try and create something that is curated, like you said, but something that can, I guess, sit there for quite some time and take you away from, the digital world that we live in.
Well, that's going to be on the market.
That's right. Coming very soon.
Aidan, so good to catch up.
Cheers, Money.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
See you in New York.
Appreciate it.